93.7, that's the dial, Citizen FM, that's what it is. And I am Didi, and the show is Super Citizen at Sunset. And I'm welcoming you back from the newsroom. So we're going to be having a conversation about the World AIDS Day and, of course, the 16 days of activism. And that would be taking off in a bit. My guest will be here in any minute from now. I spoke with her, and she's assured that she's very close by. But before she arrives, this day, Tanimowo Ogunleshi was born. She was a women's rights activist and a leader of the Women's Improvement League. She was one of the leading women activists of her era, and she co-founded the National Council of Women's Societies, the country's leading women's rights organization. And that's why we're talking about her today. Guess what year she was born in? 1908. It's not even today. Yes, 1908, and she died in 2002. But she's somebody who's left legacies upon legacies. Women's rights activist, a teacher, and a founding member of the women's section of Obafemi Awolowo's action group, Tanimowo Ogunleshi. She founded the Children's Home School in Ibadan, one of the first Nigeria-owned boarding schools, and was also one of the female members of the Nigerian delegation to the United Kingdom. You know that delegation that went to the UK to discuss the country's independence in July 1953? She was one of them. I'm putting the scope on her today because she's our star on... Tell me the name now, if you listen to me. You don't? My God. She's my star today on African Vibes. On African Vibes, we celebrate African greatest musicians, African greatest activists, historians, presidents, dignitaries, everyone, even places we celebrate on African Vibes. And today, we're celebrating Nigeria's women's rights activist and the leader of the Women's Improvement League. One of the founding women, one of the leading women who founded the National Council of Women's Societies. And I'm sure that you have come across that name before because it's one of the country's leading women's rights organization ever. And yes, she was part of the team that traveled all the way to the UK to have that conversation that led to our independence in 1960. She was a trained teacher. In 1934, she married her husband, Ogunleshi, a teacher as well. And after her marriage, she had to stop working as a teacher based on her husband's desire for her to become a housewife. But she continued teaching her neighbors' children how to read and write, even though she was not doing it on a grand scale, even though she wasn't doing it like big deal. She was still doing it. She was still teaching her neighbors' children how to read and write. And in 1946, after her husband was awarded a scholarship to study in London, she followed him there. And she continued her education as a nursing at a nursing school, that's at St. Andrews University in Scotland. And in 1947, she returned to Nigeria after her husband was appointed Adult Education Officer of the Western Region. Did you know that she was also the first president of the Nigerian Council of Women's Societies? Right. That happened in 1959. Now, throughout her life, Ogunleshi fought for women's rights. She fought for women's education and socio-economic rights, both in party organizations and even in women's networks, as well as her own school. She only died in 2002 at the age of 93. Yesterday, it was Power Mike. Yes, Mike Elokpala of Anambra State. Today, it is Tanimowo Ogunleshi of Ibadan. We celebrate her today on African Vibes. Citizen FM 93.7.
This is our journey. We've had our finest moments and our darkest hours. Yet we pull ourselves back from the brink every time. We are a resilient people. We are Nigeria. And when we talk, we share our views on Talk Radio 93.7, Citizen FM. A people united will never be defeated.
Omundem no munam oge ndị Igbo na-abịaziri unu ụbọchị Satọde na ụbọchị Sọnde na weta aka n'elekere nke 4. Oge ndị Igbo bụ oge anyị ji anọrị, oge gị na-ekene ezepụ na-eji akpọrịkọta ụbụbọ kabarụ na-esonyela anyị nke a bụ nke anyị ụmụnne m daalụnụ.
We teach girls shame. Close your legs, cover yourself. We make them feel as though by being born female, they're already guilty of something.
So I think right now we have the chance to be heard, and that's why we're doing it. We're all doing it because we're asking to try and elicit change.
No woman should sit down and allow a man to speak about her reproductive rights.
But it is about opening spaces for other women and not to be seen as token, and that because I'm a woman, I'm only speaking about women at the table. No, I'm speaking about side of the table that is empty and that women have to be there. So
I want us to leave this world better than we found it. And how I choose to affect change is by speaking up, by being the first and by being the dominant.
Over 4 billion of the world's population are girls and women, also faced with challenges that affect our world and contributing solutions to them. Let's have conversations and get some answers to them through their eyes and voices. Tune in to Perspectives, where we discuss important issues ranging from climate change, politics, health, the economy, and lifestyle on Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Weekdays from midday. Perspectives. Conversations that matter.
Oh, Dodi, what shall we do?
What shall we do?
Didi. That song is actually a song done, for HIV. It was recorded in 1999 and comes from Oliver Mtukuzi's Tuku music album. Oliver Mtukuzi is Zimbabwean, so I'm sure you know. Anyway, so on that song, he spreads HIV and AIDS awareness as the disease caused a lot of losses in homes in Zimbabwe during the period. If you understand the language, you may understand how he's lamenting on the threats that was AIDS during the period. And even till now, we're still seeing statistics that are showing that, my God, there's still a lot more to be done. 2.7 million youths. I mean, young people are youths. So the world, the UNICEF has said that 2.7 million young people are living with HIV and AIDS. And today is December 1, so it is World AIDS Day. But that's not going to be the entirety of our conversation. We're also going to be talking about the 16 days of activism, what it means for us, why we're even marking it in the first place. And today I'm not in the studio alone. Round of applause. Drum rolls already. Okay, let's do that. Drum rolls. Thank you for joining us today. As I like to call her, Mental Health with Didi. Welcome. Say something.
Hi guys, good evening. How are you doing today?
Well, all right. Good to have you join us in the studio. A bit about Didi. She's very passionate and enthusiastic. She's a mental health advocate. Her works focus on mental health advocacy, education, support to the vulnerable population, such as children, adolescents, persons with disability, people within that category. And she's also supported people a lot through her platform called Mental Health with Didi. And she's also trained about 160 teachers on mental health first aid, trained over 500 candidates on several mental health related topics, emotional intelligence, mental health impact on gender-based violence. There was one of your programs that you hosted the other day, Dorcas Ako. She's she's my friend, and in fact I followed her on the program, and then I joined you on your 7 p.m. I think it was your first day on that event, and I was like, oh wow, I just need to have a conversation with this person. And it's a good thing that you're here today. So another round of applause for you for your great works. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's begin with the 16 days of activism, or let's begin with World AIDS Day. Which one? Give me
either of them.
Yeah, ready.
Not ready. I can give you a bit of insights around
okay
topics, yes.
All right, so let's begin with the 16 days of activism, gender-based violence, GBV. Why the length of time? Because I know that it starts on 26th of November?
25th of
November. Okay, 25th of
November. The 10th. Why? 25th is a day, International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. Mm-hmm. So that's the beginning of the activism, and it ends on the 10th, which is International Human Rights Day.
Yes.
So in between those 16 days, a lot of other activities around the rights of woman, the right of the child. So it's not just focusing on the child or on the woman or the child. Gender-based violence at its holistic, not just sexual violence.
Right.
So a lot of awareness, advocacy, laws, and all of that. Yes, go on. So that's why it's that long.
I'm always interested in how it affects the person firsthand who is listening to me now, not in the English of it. So somebody's listening to me right now and she's suffering, violence on some sort of level. What is it that she needs to know, especially in the 16 days of activism?
It's not her fault. It's not about her. It's not about him, it's not about her, because gender-based violence is just not restricted to
women alone.
Even men, children, little boys, little girls. So it's not just women. So we need to be specific about that. And the person needs to know that it is not their fault.
Right.
There is nobody that has a right or any reason to violate the next person. No reason at all. So anyone that is listening right now and is either a victim or a survivor, please do not blame yourself that it's your fault. It's not your fault. The person that has done this to you should be called and be punished for what he or she has done, because let's call a spade a spade. It is wrong, it is barbaric, it is unacceptable, and there is no excuse for it.
All right, so now I've acknowledged it is not my fault. What's next?
Okay, the thing is, there are a lot of factors around gender-based violence. So the first thing we need to know is that there's a lot of stigma and stereotype. So that's one of the major setbacks, is that people do not want to talk about it, because in our society you're labeled as a bad girl or a bad woman or someone that has brought this upon herself. So the difficulty is speaking. But after knowing that it is not your fault, please, can you talk about it?
And these days, you talk about your stuff, and next thing you're hearing about your story or somewhere else. How safe is it to even talk to people these days?
Unfortunately, it's not so safe before, because the resources were not there. But right now, the resources are there. You can report to the right people that will not judge you, and people that will not take you to the socials. Then now there are a lot of other psychosocial systems around that will not judge you. They are safe spaces. So you need to know. It's just, I think the problem is that the knowledge gap about where to go or who the right person to talk to. So that's one of the things we are doing in the 16 days, to create awareness. Okay, like now, 2 days ago, there is a sexual assault response network that is in Nigeria. We have 35 already in almost all the states in Nigeria, where you can go and report and they will take up your case. But people do not know. So such information needs to go out there, the phone numbers. People need to know that it's safe to speak and you should talk to somebody, but there's someone to talk to. So that's those are the things that we are also advocating and creating awareness about this.
That's the awareness. Just to add, also, you know who is speaking to you. She holds a BSc in Medical Laboratory Science and a Master's in Public Health. She's also obtained several certifications, positive psychiatry and mental health. Yes, and a cognitive behavioral therapy practitioner. Yes. What does that mean?
Okay, so cognitive behavioral therapist is someone that helps you to understand why you feel, you act, and you behave the way you do, and they give you perspective to how you can also be better by yourself. So I'm that kind of therapist, that person you should talk to when you feel, why am I acting the way, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? So that's what cognitive behavioral therapy. So what we actually do is we help you to change the way you feel, the way you think, and your belief system.
Okay, something, right? I know that because of the availability of information these days, people just pick up their phones, log on to, sites and just read up stuff, right? Now, I was doing that. I was doing that build up to this conversation. And something that kept popping up was Montreal Massacre. What is it about?
Okay, that's Montreal Massacre is it's an historic event
okay, that led to this particular 60 days of activism.
So there was a massacre that happened. I'm not distinct, but I know that there was a massacre that happened, which now brought about the awareness that we need to start talking about this. Because if you notice, in many of the crises, humanitarian crises, natural disasters, wars, women are always more
they
are vulnerable because
affected.
They are more. So there are a lot of all this vulnerability that comes with it for women. So these things, you see women that become the rape victims, a lot of things. So this prompted the fact that we need to talk about this. It's a breach of human rights, and we all have to talk about it.
All right. So I think that would lead us now very, very smoothly to the conversation on AIDS. Yes. This song I played, this Oliver Mtukuzi's Todi, since 1999, right? And there's been talks, there've been awareness campaigns, there've been conversations had, and then we're seeing the statistics that are still very high. I mean, this one from UNICEF, which was released today, says about 2.5 million or 2.7 million young people are living with HIV. At least HIV is not AIDS yet. All right, there's a difference, right?
Of course.
Okay, good. So HIV is
it's just like the beginning.
The beginning.
Which way your viral loads are still good.
Does every HIV lead to AIDS?
No, not everything, not all. Once you find out that you're HIV positive, because right now there's something called, once you find out the person is HIV positive, please place the person on antiretroviral therapy. That's the treatment. So once you on your treatment, your viral loads, because those are the things that once your viral load, that what makes you more susceptible to other kinds of diseases. So when your system starts degenerating and all that, then that's when it's going to the extreme. But once you're on your treatment and you're taking it judiciously, you're going to be fine. There are people that are living fine, healthy, well, because I worked in the system, the care and support management for a while, and I understand how it works. So if you're taking your treatment,
you're good.
Yes, you're fine. People have good relationships, they're married, they have kids, even without infecting their partners.
Do you know that as much as there is a lot of information about these things, some people are still very, very, very what's the word now? About HIV. They still insist that you have no, please.
Because there's still, the stigma is still there. Yes, there's a lot of awareness, there's a lot of treatment, but there's still that stereotype, that stigma. It hasn't gone away 100%, but trust me, it's not the way it used to be. You know, before, when you go to the hospital, they would separate you if you're entering certain parts of the hospital. They will know this person is HIV. Yeah. But now they've integrated it into the circular system, so most people don't even know who is who. So yes, gradually there's a lot of things in place, but the truth is that little bits of stigma is still there, but so that's why the awareness hasn't stopped, and that's why it won't stop, and that's why, and science is still evolving to the point where they're still trying to look for a permanent treatment to this disease. So it's evolving, But definitely we've come a long
Exactly.
way.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because we need to acknowledge where we have been at.
Trust me.
The struggle so far and how we got here eventually.
That's one thing that is very, very dear to my heart, HIV, because I've lost a family member to it.
Wow.
And at that point, it hurt so bad because I was working in a care center, but because of the stigma and because I think this person felt, why should I talk to my younger sister or something? Or, that stigma, that label. It shouldn't have been that bad. He shouldn't have lost his life, but because he was unable to speak up. So I tell everybody, it's not a life sentence anymore. It is not. I see people. You will see them, they're as healthy as I am.
I know,
beautiful,
right?
living their life, a full life. It's just people that are ignorant and are not taking their medications, maybe due to whatever, because the medications are even free.
Right.
So what's the reason? But compliance is there, then there's a lot of side effects, we know that. But it has improved better than the way it used to.
And then something that needs to be said though. So people take these antiretroviral drugs and somehow they get comfortable, maybe because they don't have symptoms anymore, so they stop taking their drugs. Oh no, so some actually stop because I feel better, I feel good, I don't feel sick anymore. Because actually look at it, it's very difficult to take pills every single day of your life.
It's
hard,
but the truth is that
you
must
take these drugs.
And if you can brush your mouth every day, if you can eat every day, why can't you just take your medication? It's not as easy as I'm saying it, trust me.
No, but again, right, we need to see how,
you have to look at it that way.
Right.
Yes, it's you have to just, for yourself, for your kids, for your family, for everyone, because when it goes bad, when you become very sick, it's not going to just be you. It's going to be also your family members. They have to take care of you. They have to spend money, and eventually maybe you don't even make it. So why make everyone go through that, especially and you? But just if you're taking your medication, no one needs to know.
If you don't tell a person,
you don't need to. Nobody needs to know. Because you have a specific time you should take. If you decide I want to take them in the morning, you're consistent in the morning.
But then again, it's just important to mention that it's okay that people who matter should know, right? So that you're not spreading.
It's not just spreading. They can be your accountability
partners
support.
Also, yeah.
So imagine, for instance, I'm a wife and my husband is on antiretroviral, because I know if he doesn't take his medication and if I'm not ready to leave him.
Right.
If I'm not ready to leave him and if he's not taking his medication, I could get infected. Then both of us will be sick. So then I will make him take the medication.
All right, let's talk about those antiretroviral drugs. How easily accessible are they?
They're in all government hospitals.
All of them?
All general hospitals have.
So we cannot say that we have a problem with availability.
Personally, I don't think there's a problem.
Or are you talking about Abuja alone?
Not just Abuja. Why I'm saying this is because during my thesis, I had done my thesis on HIV viral load transportation. The viral load is those are the load of the disease
inside
so how
of your
much
body.
in your body, so that's what the drug does. It controls it. So the viral load is done in specialized hospitals in laboratory, because you have to use the very big machines to do them, so they transport them. So I have gone to the local hospital. So all general hospitals have a care and support for HIV, and it's integrated with even tuberculosis now. So it's not just HIV. So you have this holistic thing. So people do not have an excuse. But it's just that most times people are maybe they start their medication in a certain place. Maybe they are ready. Maybe, for instance, they started taking their medication in Use General Hospital, and they now travel to another state. So they feel like they cannot get their medication. But now the system is set. All you need to know is have your ID from Use General Hospital. They will do you a transfer to wherever you are, and you continue taking your medication.
What if I traveled out of the country?
Yes, if you're going to travel, because the way the care is now, you have a case manager. It's very beautiful now. You have a case manager that monitors you, maybe because they give the medications now either for 1 month or 3 months or 6 months, based depending on how you have progressed or how you have been complying to your medication. So if you are giving your medication, say, for 3 months, they have already entered it in there. The case manager has your record when next you're supposed to get a refill. So before your refill time, they start calling you. They start checking. Yes, they start checking up on you. They start reminding you.
Who buys the airtime for all of this?
It's funded. They are funded by
international donors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the one in Abuja, most of them, I think, they're funded by CDC. That's the program I worked with, and there are other. So these are funded programs.
Okay.
So they call them. Okay. So if you now tell your case manager, I won't be able to come for my refill because I am traveling for 6 months. If you're that person that has been complying, they can do you a supply for the next 6 months that you're traveling, and they send it to you, or they can tell you to come and pick it up for that 6 months, but it's recorded.
I see.
Yes, so the treatment is available.
Right.
Yes.
Everywhere. I mean,
yes.
Your problem is that you are not willing to go.
To go there.
I see.
There's no step. In fact, the way, even when they take the sample, before when I started the HIV, I think 2012, 13, when I was working in a facility in Lagos, then we had a separate place.
Building altogether.
Look, but now, even if for them to take their blood sample, which they do to check, maybe for instance, if they have given you drug for 3 months, if you're coming for the next refill, you check your viral load if it has worked, so that they'll know that the drug combination they are giving to you is working or it has improved. So all of those things are monitored. Now there's no separation. It's in the regular lab. It's just that there's somebody there that would say, okay, to separate the.
Very valid point you made earlier about donors. To what extent does the fight against HIV and AIDS actually depend on international donors? I mean, how much of this, if for whatever reason we need to begin to count losses or profits as the case may be, how much of this do we have to battle with?
You know, this question, it puts me on the spot.
Why is that?
It's right to speak, but personally, my own personal opinion, I feel, I don't know if I'm wrong, I feel the external donor for HIV, I think it can be reduced, because if the problem we have about donor, okay, first thing, the problem we have here is that we rely so much on external donor, and that's why when the external donors retrieve their fund, we have the problem of sustainability. So the system cannot sustain
itself.
So if there is a way we as a country or a system wants to support these people, then we can have other form of partnership or even local pharmaceuticals to do these things. But maybe then they will have to pay for it. Because the another problem that people are saying is that people do not take this. They take it for granted because it is free. Sometimes you go to the store, the medications have expired. These are people paying for it. So I feel the money spent on HIV, it can be diverted to spend it on hepatitis. Yes, personally, hepatitis, because these are diseases that are not getting so much traction like HIV. I feel HIV has come to a point where it can sustain itself.
Really?
I feel so.
Okay. You're the one on the field. You're the one who does.
That's why I say this is my personal, and I always say to people that I'm not an advocate of spending so much money on HIV right now, because there are other diseases that are happening that are killing our people that there is no funds coming to,
or as much funds
coming as mental health, even as much storage. You know, I'm so everything about mental health, so much funds as HIV. So, but the truth is that for our system to maintain this, we need to look for other ways to get these medications cheaper. Then maybe we'll start holding these people that do not comply. Maybe we start holding them accountable. If you are supposed to refill, maybe we give you 3 months. If you don't come for 3 months, maybe the next time you come, you have not. Maybe if they start telling them, okay, you will pay.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they will start compiling and get. So I think we should look for other ways to fund HIV, and most of these thousands, millions of dollars going to HIV support can be diverted to other diseases, and that's my own take personally. But yes, most of the support for HIV are from international donors.
Okay. Now, the struggle, HIV and then transitioning into AIDS, at what point does it become we can't help this situation again?
Okay, when the system has degenerated, you know, when
it's become full-blown AIDS.
Yes, when I don't know the exact value right now, but I know when your viral load has come to a point, you know, they have categories of this. So there are 3 lines of medication. The first one, you start using if it's okay, your viral loads are increasing and it's not getting low, then you now, so when your viral load is like 0 to 50, I think. So when you are there, you are good. That means the HIV virus is not so much in your system. So what the drug is supposed to reduce the viral load. So if you have that 0, so maybe you're in the first line treatment, then you're doing well. So it's just like you're taking the first line, and maybe you are taking the first line, your viral load is not reducing. It is going to thousands of microliters counts, Then you go to the second line.
Then we should
you now go to the third line. And when you go to the third line, it's still not working. Then maybe you now start having other organs failure.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because that's what happens. Start having other, because once the viral load is a lot, then it makes you very susceptible to other diseases, and you start having all those complications and all of that. And that's where
we could actually continue like this for the next 2 hours.
Trust me.
Because I'm learning a lot actually. I'm just like, whoa, wow, really? And
so imagine if you keep saying wow, really, that means there's still a lot of knowledge gap around this, and this has been on and on and on.
I know, right?
So people need to, I think they're spending more awareness, knowledge. You cannot overemphasize,
right? Because
in public health we always preach primary prevention, and primary prevention is telling people how to prevent this, how to know before they even get exposed to the disease. So I think more awareness is very important.
And I really want to appreciate you for coming out to, share your knowledge with us this day. I mean, this was really good. I learned a lot. I've been speaking with Mental Health with Didi. See, do you know what? As it happens, I still can't remember your full name. It is still Didi. When I remember Didi is Mental Health with Didi. Everything about mental health.
Everybody thinks, yes, but my name is Adedotun Eson. That's my name. But Didi is what everybody calls me. So it became my household name. So that's why it's Mental Health with Didi. So most people just know Didi. Most people don't even remember that it's added up to it.
Right. So I'm not alone.
No, you're not alone.
I feel good.
You're not alone.
I feel good. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with a mental health expert, and she's all about mental health. She's all about people getting the right support that they need, people getting the awareness that they need, the advocacy, the support, and everything. Thank you for sparing our time. I know that you have a session this evening, right? You used to have the session going on.
Yeah,
that was supposed to be for
7 p.m. actually on Facebook. So we'll be talking about mental health and gender-based violence
again.
Yes.
So I mean, that was the first edition you had. I mean, the first day you had the live session. I was like, oh yeah, I just had to be a part of it. I'm like, no, I can't be learning this alone. People listen to me on Citizen FM, and I needed to just bring you on so that you can share your knowledge with us. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much.
Let's give you another round of applause very quickly now. Here we go.
Thank you for having me. So anytime. Once we talk about this topic, is my heartbeat. I'm always ready. It's just that these 16 days are sticking
a lot, right? Please, it's don't worry. See, whatever is taken from you, you are getting so much more back, because the people you are touching, the lives you are affecting at this time, you will never know. You can't even quantify it, I assure you. Even if it's just one person, it's that one person that needs that knowledge at this time.
No, that's our motto in Mental Health with Didi Foundation, impacting one person.
Give me a form already. Let me be a part of it, because I'm already knowing
you already know you do. So that's the one person per time.
Right.
Yes.
But thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And that'll be about it today. So stay with us. It is an FM 93.7. Ntokuzi still telling us about Todi. What shall we do?
Hi, I'm Sheila.
Hi, I'm
It's the Citizen Show with Didi. Omundem no omunnam oge ndị Igbo na-abịaziri unu ụbọchị Satọde na ụbọchị Sọnde na weta aka n'elekere nke 4. Oge ndị Igbo bụ oge anyị ji anọrị, oge gị na-ekene ezepụ na-eji akpọrịkọta ụbụbọ kabarụ na-esonyela anyị.